Hi, I'm Donald Davidson. I'm the historian for the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and this is part of the series called Stories with Donald. Yep, the early astronauts all seem to have a great interest in or most of them had a great interest in the 500. Of the original 7, I think probably 5 of them were here at one time or another. And they were befriended by Jim Rathman, who was the 1960 Indianapolis 500 winner. But he I'm just thinking, he had not yet won when the astronaut program came together. But the principal one probably was Gordon Cooper, who came here a number of times, and then Gus Grissom. And Gus Grissom was a Hoosier. He was down from Mitchell area. And then Alan Shepard was here, I think, once or twice. I know Wally Schirra was interested. And then John Glenn, I think not so much, but he did come a little bit later. In 1971, he was here and rode in the pace car on race morning. But, and then Pete Conrad, who was, in maybe the second or third wave, I think, was very keen and drove a little bit. Some of them actually raced, SCCA amateur sports cars and single-seaters with, smaller engines. But Jim Rathman, as I say, was very close to them, and he had a Chevrolet dealership in Melbourne, Florida, and he had a deal, I think, where they had Corvettes were given as courtesy cars to all of them, I believe. But anyway, he palled around with them, and they were, sometimes naughty boys getting into mischief together. And for a couple of years, Grissom and Cooper actually partnered with Jim Rathman on a team. In 1967 and 1966 and 1967, there was a team called GCR Corporation, and that stood for Grissom, Cooper, and Rathman. And unfortunately, none of their cars qualified for the 500 in 66 or 67, but they did do reasonably well at the other races. In fact, Art Pollard in 1966 was 4th in the Milwaukee 100 with a car that was owned by GCR. One of the moon expeditions, and I'm not very good on all of the nomenclatures for the space flights, but there was one where there was a golf cart was actually landed on the moon and driven around on the moon's surface. And I don't know whether you'd consider it a prank, but not everybody that was involved was thrilled about it. One of the astronauts had a Jim Rathman car dealership decal, which he peeled the back and stuck on the back of the golf cart. And so when there was, and I think it remained up there, I believe. I think it stayed on the moon's surface, I believe. And then a few years or a short time later, when they were going to have they had a replica made, I believe I've got this right. But one way or another, there was a decal put on the back of the vehicle that was on display, and apparently some of the officials were very upset about that. But then they were able to prove. They said, but to make it authentic, it drove around on the moon's surface with it. Look, here's the photographs. But and then I think in later years, there were other astronauts that came here as guests. One year Buzz Aldrin was here. I think he might have ridden in the 500 Festival Parade. I don't remember that, but I know that he was at the track and did a few interviews. And then David Wolf, a Hoosier, went to Purdue, was here, I think, probably 2 or 3 times. And probably riding in the 500 Festival Parade, but I remember being at the track and not having a function on race day, but just one of the celebrities that was on the grounds.